Let's recap the most frustrating film I've seen so far this year, Speak No Evil. I'm in the UK, so I currently watched it on Shudder. Let's go. We start with husband and wife Bjorn and Louise and their daughter Agnes enjoying their holiday vacation in Tuscany and catching some rays by the pool. Bjorn is interrupted by a man asking to use the sunbed his things are currently residing on, in which Bjorn agrees, albeit a bit begrudgingly. Bjorn and Louise then leave Agnes with a babysitter to go head out and have some dinner with some other couples that are on the holiday. And Bjorn just seems done with this one couple that just seems to talk about cooking and food and making food. While chilling in the evening and listening to some beautiful music, Bjorn seems really touched and like he has some things on his mind, and it's even further evident when he can't get asleep later that night. While walking around and sightseeing in Tuscany, Agnes realises she's lost her plush bunny Ninos, so Bjorn heads off in search for the rabbit bear. Once Bjorn finds the bunny, he returns to his wife and daughter who have bumped into another couple, Patrick and Karen, along with their son Abel, who is not very chatty at all. Patrick stating he just gets a bit shy if he feels any pressure. Patrick then compliments Bjorn on his bunny saving abilities, calling them heroic. So the group decide to go grab some lunch together, and pretty much like immediately they seem to hit it off, with them stating that the Danish and the Dutch are very similar. Patrick is also very impressed with Louise being a vegetarian, declaring that they could all learn from her. Remember this for later. The group spend the evening together, but they depart from each other the next day, returning to their normal lives. A few weeks go by and Bjorn receives a postcard from Patrick and Karen inviting them to come and stay with them for a few days, stating that Abel has been raving about Agnes. Cutting to them accepting and heading off to go see their new friends, they arrive to a very warm welcome. They are shown their rooms, with Agnes being put in with Abel on the floor, much to her confusion, especially when Abel doesn't even greet her believing that he's forgot about her. As they congregate in the kitchen, Patrick is making wild boar, and he insists that Louise takes a bite. But she refuses, being vegetarian, but Patrick really does insist. So, with a little bit of encouragement from Bjorn, Louise takes a small bite. After dinner, when the parents are chilling, they start to hear Abel crying in the other room, and I mean crying his eyes out, but his parents seem very nonchalant about it, just stating that it's something he does, he'll get tired, and it's because of his diseases. When pressed by Bjorn on these diseases, Patrick tells them that Abel was born with only half a tongue, so he struggles to be heard. That night, Agnes sleeps in bed with Bjorn and Louise, not wanting to be on the floor in Abel's room. The next day, they go to a random field with like a windmill, and I think it's got like a trampoline, it looks like, and a slide and some other random bits. But Agnes wants to go down the slide, but Abel is sitting at the bottom, so she can't. When Louise also can't coerce Abel off the slide, she asks for Patrick's assistance, who rips Abel off the slide and shouts at him to apologise to Agnes. Obviously uncomfortable, Bjorn says it's fine, but with a shake from Patrick, Abel says sorry and Agnes heads down the slide. Definitely weren't that fun. Once back at the house, Louise expresses being uncomfortable and not really liking these people, just as Karen interrupts and invites them out to dinner that night. Bjorn turning and looking at his wife like, yeah, they're really bad, aren't they? He has no idea. Later, while Agnes and Louise are chatting about food, an unknown man comes to the door and he's let in by Karen, who then decides to tell Louise that it's just going to be the adults going out and that this unknown 40-50-year-old man they don't know will be looking after Agnes. I don't think so. She's coming with me. There's no way that I would have this. Just no way. I could literally go on a full-blown rant about this, but no, it's fine. We'll carry on with the movie. At the restaurant, the hosts are very vague about what the actual food is. Patrick offers to order for them all, with Louise asking for him to remember that she's a vegetarian. But then Patrick goes, and he's like, well, is fish not meat? Is the way we treat our oceans a good thing? Which, I mean, is very valid, but this is not what he was saying back when he first met her. Remember? We could all learn from you, Louise. Well, anyway, awkward. After dinner, Patrick and his wife decide to have a little slow wine together, with Bjorn and Louise looking on a bit awkwardly. But Bjorn does manage to entice Louise to join him too. They look and feel awkward just watching them, as Patrick and Karen bump and grind away. At the end of the night, looking at the bill, Patrick states, of course, someone had a good night, so Bjorn awkwardly offers to chip in. And when the card machine's presented, Patrick doesn't even make a move for his wallet. So a permanently awkward Bjorn says, meals on us then? And Patrick just says, "Thanks, man," and goes head into the car. Poor Bjorn. An intoxicated Patrick drives them home and starts blaring the music, Louise getting super frustrated, shouting at him to turn it down as he winds down the road. Now safely back home, Louise decides to take a shower, but as she does, Patrick comes in and brushes his teeth. She just turns her back to him and says nothing, quickly exiting when he leaves the bathroom. When back in the room, she doesn't mention the shower, just jumps into bed and snuggles with Bjorn. They start getting it on, and Agnes is calling their name, but they ignore her and just get down with the get down. This is when Patrick decides to have a look-see in the window, caught by Bjorn, who does nothing, of course. Hours later, Louise decides to go check on Agnes, who isn't in Abel's room, but at the end of Patrick and Karen's bed, who are naked with Patrick's bare bum visible. Grabbing Agnes, she storms back to their room, wakes Bjorn and requests to leave now. They get to the car and drive away with Abel looking on. I just have to put this in here. I find it really weird that some European cars, because we don't have it in the UK, and American cars go boop boop when you open them. Because we don't have that in the UK. And it's like, I felt like when I watched this movie, it was like, boop boop, we're going, bye. Anyway, that was just a thought that I had in the movie. Carrying on. During the drive, Agnes has realised she's lost that bloody stuffed rabbit again, with Louise saying it's fine, it will be looked after by Abel and they'll get a new one, but as Agnes starts crying that she wants that one, Bjorn decides to turn around. At this point, I'm just like, leave the goddamn rabbit! Just leave it! As they arrive back at Patrick and Karen's, Bjorn sneaks back inside to go find that bunny, but of course, the stuffed plushie was down the back of the seat this whole time. As Louise heads inside to try to find her husband, she hears a conversation, so follows the voices and finds her husband talking to Patrick, who is shocked and saddened by their sudden departure. As Bjorn tries to explain it's because of the small bed and Agnes keep coming in, making it even more uncomfortable, Louise steps in and helps by saying, she's a vegetarian but they keep serving her meat. She felt uncomfortable at the Roadhouse restaurant with them touching each other up, and taking her child into bed with them while they're naked is unacceptable. Karen apologises but challenges Louise, asking why she didn't go to Agnes as she was calling and she was crying. That really annoyed me. I would have been like, what, like your boy was crying his eyes out and you're like, don't worry, he's tired, he does this all the time. Honestly, so annoying, this couple that just allow this other couple to just take the mickey out of them and mug them off continually. It's so frustrating. So then Patrick declares that he's really sad they're leaving, as today was going to be a great day, which somehow convinces them to stay, though they do give each other the look like, are we really doing this? While Louise helps Karen do some gardening, which, fun, Abel and Agnes play and the boys head off to the market. During the ride, Bjorn confesses to Patrick that he often suppresses his emotions and he's bored with his mundane life and having to smile all the time to people he doesn't even like. So Patrick takes him to a beach quarry looking place where they do some screaming therapy. Back at the house, the boys are best of buds and the group get ready for food, with Karen instructing Agnes to lay the table. While she does that, Louise cuts her finger, with Bjorn stating it's lucky to have a doctor in the house, with Patrick claiming he's not a doctor and that he lied. Sorry, I'm not sure if I mentioned that. Patrick said that in Tuscany that first time when they went to that restaurant together. Bjorn asks Patrick what he does do for work then, and Patrick states he doesn't work and he doesn't believe in it. Okay. While eating, Louise ends up shouting at Karen for continually trying to tell her child what to do. Karen tells her to calm down while Patrick refills her glass. After dinner, the parents sit down to watch the children do a dance routine that they've been practicing. But Patrick is not impressed and he stops the dance 3 times to berate Abel while Louise and Agnes get increasingly upset. Bjorn finally steps in after the 3rd time, asking Patrick what's wrong with them not consoling their child when he is in pain. Patrick and Karen just shrug this off and state they do things different. It's not about being different, it's about doing what's right, staggers Bjorn, as Patrick continues to shout at Abel and Louise leaves the room as she just cannot take it anymore. Patrick continues to test Bjorn as he comes in while Bjorn's brushing his teeth to have a little urination and then stare him down. And does Bjorn say anything? No, he doesn't. As they settle down that night, Bjorn can't sleep as Abel is crying, Patrick is shouting at him and the telly is super loud. When Patrick walks past their room and heads back to bed, Bjorn sneaks out to have a look around. He stumbles upon a cabin behind the house and while snooping inside finds a collection of empty luggage and cameras inside. Amidst the collection, he discovers numerous photographs on the wall featuring Patrick and Karen with other couples and their young children on holidays. As we go along the pics, it's clear the couple are murdering the other couples and keeping their kids. He heads outside and hears a noise coming from the pool room, so he investigates and finds Abel having recently been killed. Bjorn realises, finally, that they're in trouble and gathers his family to escape in the middle of the night for the second time. Bjorn doesn't disclose to his wife why they're going, and during the drive becomes frightened of cars behind them, going off-road and becoming stuck with no petrol. Bjorn is forced to go search for help, but finding nothing, returns to the car to find his wife and child missing. Screaming their names and heading towards the road, Patrick pulls up and says, "Thanks for calling, Bjorn," while Louise and Agnes sit in the car thanking Karen for picking them up. Bjorn knows he didn't call Patrick, but as he cries to him to not hurt his family, Patrick just tells him they'll be fine if they do as they're told and to get in the car. So Bjorn just gets in the car and remains silent, doing as he's told. He literally doesn't do anything but what he's told. Even when Patrick stops to take a little whiz at the side of the road and he's like 10 feet away from the car, he doesn't even try, to try to take the wheel or something. I mean, there's only Karen in the car now, but nope, he's just sitting there waiting to see what's going to happen to them all. As they get past where they assume they're going, i.e. back to Patrick and Karen's, Louise starts to ask questions. But when Patrick tells her to shut the F up, Bjorn says don't talk to his wife like that. But then he's shut up himself with a punch in the face. As Patrick stops the car, another one pulls up, and that sketchy babysitter gets out and comes towards the car, opening the door and grabbing Louise while Patrick and Karen grab up Agnes. When Bjorn tries to step in, Patrick easily stops him with a couple punches and a headbutt, and then he proceeds to grab Agnes's tongue and cut it off. As Bjorn throws up, Agnes is dragged away, Louise is sobbing, and the car pulls away. Bjorn and Louise head off in the opposite direction to their daughter with Patrick and Karen. They arrive, it seems, back at the quarry type place that Patrick took Bjorn to earlier, and the sobbing couple are ordered to get out of the car and undress. When Bjorn asks them why they're doing this, Patrick says, "Because you let us," which reminds me of The Strangers, "because you were home." But anyway, so Bjorn and Louise undress, while Patrick and Karen seemingly have nothing but themselves and a pair of scissors. They don't try to run, fight back, nothing. They literally do nothing. Maybe it's because they feel distraught over their daughter, but she's not dead yet. You'd think they'd have some fight in them, but no, like the whole movie, they just awkwardly do as they're told. And how do they die? By having large rocks thrown at them. Seriously, thrown rocks. Now, I'm not saying that these rocks weren't big enough to kill someone, but they didn't do anything. They didn't try to dodge the rocks, try run, try throw them back. They literally just took the rocks to the head. At this point, I was just fuming with them in my mind, thinking, what the hell are you doing? So we cut to a shot of the deceased couple and then to Patrick and Karen driving off in the sunshine with a very glum looking Agnes in the back, who's finally got that bunny firmly in her grasp. You know what, I blame Ninos for all of this. F that bunny. So yeah, that's Speak No Evil. Regardless of what I said, I still recommend it.